What's the future of marketing? It's visual, it's video. There's a difference between marketing with a piece of video and video marketing. Most people think marketers are liars. Brands that don't create video content are not going to rank as high as brands that do. That's the bottom line.
Welcome to another edition of Animaker Genius Talk. I'm pleased to present to you successful author, very successful keynote speaker, and the CEO of Digital Insights Group, Michael Brenner. Welcome to the show, Michael. I'm happy to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So today, we're going to be discussing the important points of how to make video marketing work for your business. All right. Let me explain how this is going to work. We have three sections. The first one is what we call the genius journey. Every great story always has a great beginning. All right. Today, you're one of the world's leading keynote speakers, especially in the areas of marketing and leadership. But how did it all begin? Tell us your origin story.
Yeah, I actually started my career in sales, and as a young professional, having really no real world clue on how to do successful selling, I tried to push products and push the products that I was responsible for selling. And what I found was that it didn't work. But when I kind of took a deep breath and sat back and listened to the folks that I was trying to sell to and understood the problems that they had and even got to know them personally a little bit, did I start to see, almost unintentionally, start to see sales start to happen for me organically. And I followed my, kind of frustrations out of the sales arena and into marketing. And I found that the same concepts still applied, that, I think marketers in general mostly try to promote and sell their products, and services, when audiences and customers that we're trying to reach are all just people with problems. And I think marketing needs to reflect that. And so that's what I really committed my career to kind of redefining what marketing really means, that it's not promotion and propaganda, but it's really the kinds of information from a brand that can be helpful to its customers, that support the products and services that we sell. And so, as part of that mission, I started doing webinars and video chats like this and podcasts, and then that led me to the stage, and that led me to the book, and and kind of here I am. So it's been a fun journey.
All right, a sales guy who later on became a marketer. That's definitely a unique story. All right, and so Michael, in this whole journey, where did Content Formula, your amazing book, come into picture?
Yeah, when I spent about 3 years at SAP, one of the world's largest technology enterprise software companies in the world, building out a content marketing platform. And the whole challenge that I faced every single day wasn't what content should we create, or what platform should we put it on, or how are we going to measure success. It was a concern from executives on how it was going to help us sell more software. What's the return on investment? What's the formula that you're going to apply with content to generate sales for us? And so that was really the origin of the book. And then I went out on my own, became a consultant, and the number one question I got from CMOs and CEOs that I was trying to talk to was, what's the return on investment? What's the formula for success? And so that's basically what the book is. It's almost more of a workbook than it is. It's certainly not I was a literature major, so it's not a graphic novel, dramatic storytelling. It's really a workbook of formulas and calculations that I think any brand can use, no matter what their marketing objectives might be, whether it's awareness or engagement or conversion or even retention. It's a series of math formulas that you can use to show the return on investment from content, or the formula, if you will, for ROI.
All right, so it's basically a formula for success in content marketing. That's definitely right. Something every one of our audience will be very happy to embrace. All right, Michael, we've come to the end of section 1. The next section is what we call Inside the Genius Mind. I'm going to throw some questions at you. I'm going to find maximum value from your answers. I'm going to pass on that value to our audience. All right?
Sounds good.
Let's get started. Now, Michael, let's assume a situation. Let's assume I'm a part of a corporate marketing team. Mm-hmm. And let's assume that I've just started out and this is my first day. I'm going to walk into my CEO's room and I'm going to pitch an idea to start creating videos for the brand right away. What do you suggest I tell him? And how do you think I should convince him to start the video journey right away?
Yeah, well, I think it starts, the way I start almost all of the conversations I have with my own clients. And the way that I started my own journey in content marketing was basically showing the organizations and the executives inside those organizations that the world is consuming a different kind of content than we are creating. And I think it really just starts with showing that. And it's going to take a variety of ways to do that. For example, if you audit any website, what you'll find is that 90% of the pages on any corporate website get 0 page views. It's a very small percentage that get the significant majority of page views. There should be a variety of content on those pages. If you go to Google and you search for anything, you're going to see it's not just the results that you get, but there's also different types of results. There's articles for sure, there's news items for sure, but there's videos. And one of the things that I love to tell people when they ask me what's the future of marketing, it's visual, it's video. The world is not, we're not just consuming more content. Most of that growth is coming from visual content. Most of that growth is coming from video content specifically. And so, the bottom line is if a company wants to engage its audiences, it has to create video. And that's really what it comes down to.
All right. Video is the future of marketing. That's something we at Animaker will definitely be happy to hear and pass out to our audience. All right. The next question that I have for you is your area of expertise. One of the major problems that content marketers from across the globe have been facing for quite some time now is to answer the ROI question. And today, video marketers from across the globe have started facing the same question. So how do you answer when somebody asks, how do you measure the ROI from video marketing?
Yeah, I think it's, one of the things that I love to say about content in general is that there's a difference between a piece of content or marketing with a piece of content and content marketing. There's a difference between marketing with a piece of video and video marketing. And here's what I mean by that. Most pieces of content, most videos in and of themselves don't produce an ROI, aren't ever going to produce an ROI. It's the brands that commit to consistently telling a story or sharing their expertise with their audience via the use of content, via visual mechanisms like video. Those are the only ones that are going to show and be able to prove a return on investment. There's a chart that I love to use that shows the impact of frequency. In other words, the return on investment from marketing goes up exponentially when you go from doing something once or a few times to doing it once or a few times every day or every week. And so my advice to video marketers is to start selling a package of consistent videos, an approach to producing videos that's consistent and persistent over time, so that there's a frequency of the kinds of stories that you're telling. If you think about anyone in the video world, if you go to like Hollywood studios, they don't say we're going to create one movie. No, they say we want to create a studio that's going to create consistently great movies. And that's true for video marketers as well. We have to show the value of committing to the frequency and the consistency that our audiences are consuming content in.
All right, so essentially every big business is going to become a studio producing high quality content.
That's exactly right. And we can follow the model of Hollywood studios. It's not a difficult formula to look and see how they tell a great story, use the platforms that people are consuming like video, and you'll start to see that engagement go up.
All right, that's definitely a great motivation. I think I can convince my CEO with that kind of a pitch. All right, so what are the fundamental points that a business should remember when they are charting out their video marketing strategy in 2019?
Yeah, I think there's a pretty common mechanism that journalists will use, and it's something I learned in university as well. And just about every great writer in the world knows this formula, and it's just who, what, when, where, why, and how. And I think every great strategy answers those questions. The order with which we answer them, though, I think is important. And so when I do strategy workshops with the clients that I work with, we always start with why. And it's a kind of a famous Simon Sinek is the author of the book, Start With Why. And so, we need to understand what's the business case, what's the business objective we're trying to reach. Within that why question, if you will, is also the audience, and that's the who, right? Who are we trying to reach, and what is it that they need? And before we answer, the what and the how questions, which is what most people jump to too soon, is the why. What's the business case? Then the who. What do you need to know about your audience? Then start looking at what content do they want to consume? How are you going to map the content that you're creating to their needs. And then you can start to look at where you're going to publish it, and how or how much the how much question, how you're going to be able to measure the results of that. And so follow that simple who, what, when, where, why, how, and framework, but make sure the order starts with why, then gets into who, the what, the how, and the where and the how much, follow after that.
All right, so start with why. That's definitely a point that I'd like our audience to take away from that answer. The next question that I have for you, Michael, is that every brand is created with a particular image in mind. And we as consumers also consume the brands in different ways. For example, the way I perceive Apple is starkly different from the way I perceive Microsoft. All right. So in this kind of a scenario, when each brand has its own separate image, how do they go about picking which kind of topic that they should deal with in their content? It can be video, it can be text, or any form of content for that matter.
Yeah, well, it kind of goes back to what I just said. If you start with why do we perceive Apple differently than Microsoft? And one of the things you might think about, the first words that many people think about when they think about Apple is design, or design thinking, or design-centered product creation. They set out to create beautiful products that are easy to use. And we now use the word product experience or even customer experience. It's maybe a little overused, but a lot of that started with Apple. I mean, they thought long and hard about why they exist, how they're different from Microsoft, and they were creating beautifully designed products in the beginning, largely for designers, and so they had to. And I think every brand has an origin story like that. Why did you get started in the first place? What's the gap that you were trying to fill with which target audience? Back to the who, the why, and the who. And so I think the answers to that question really start there. The other thing is, I usually start there. Why do you exist as a company? What's the key differentiators you have, versus your competition? But then I think you have to quickly move to understanding what the audience wants. And so, I love to say you can use a simple thing like Google autofill, and it'll tell you what the world thinks of you. So for example, if I type marketers into Google autofill, marketers are, it's going to tell me that most people think marketers are liars. and that's because that's what people type in. So I think you have to go quickly from what do we want to be known for, or why do we exist, to what does the world currently think about, either us or the audience that we're trying to reach. What are their key challenges? You can use Google autofill, you can use lots of free tools to figure that out. And so define the topics, and you can model very simply. You can model that just using some sticky, Post-it notes or sticky notes. Just write down a list of those things, and then start to group them into categories, and you'll start to see a structure emerge that will generally define the answer. What topics should we create content around?
All right, yeah, definitely Google autofill is one of the most underutilized tools out there available today, especially for marketers. Mm-hmm. All right, Michael, we've come to the end of section 2. The next section is what we call picking the genius brain. I'm going to throw some questions at you. I want you to give me quick answers without much of thought. All right. So, Michael, do you have a piece of pen and paper next to you?
If not, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, I have an interesting question for you. So, as a person who's been following your content and your pieces of speech for a long time, I really know that you have a love for Venn diagrams. So my question for you is, can you draw a quick diagram to show the power of video marketing, especially as a part of the content strategy in 2019?
Yes. Okay, I have it. Here we go. I know it's supposed to be quick. I'm not a quick drawer, but here we go. Okay. So on this side is what most of us create, and it's content that says we're awesome. And on the other side, this is what your customers, your audience is actually interested in. Videos of cats. Now, videos of cats aren't going to help the world understand how awesome you are. We have to define videos. We have to show the world what is the overlap, what's the intersection between what it is that we do as a brand and what might be interesting to our audience. It forces brands to think radically differently. And I'll give you a quick example. A lot of companies, when they think of video, they think of customer testimonial videos. And most customer testimonial videos are, hi, my name is Joe, and I picked this company because they're awesome. It's, we are awesome content. But instead, if you created a video of, hi, my name is Joe, I'm a customer of company A, and I love cats, that actually is something that people would watch. Now, you just said that they're a customer, so you're already showing the world that you have customers that are pretty funny and pretty interesting. And then let the guy talk about cats, or let the woman talk about the challenges that she faced in her work environment. Don't make them all about you and how awesome you are. Make them about a profile the people that you're trying to reach. It's just a simple way to start to rethink the approach that we take with video marketing. How's that?
The intersection between cat videos and weird awesome videos, that's something that will definitely stick with me for a long time, Michael. All right, the next question that I have for you is a bit of a controversial question, and I'm very excited to see what your answer is going to be. Text content versus video content in 2019. Which one should brands focus on?
The answer is yes. Yes, and again, I always say that a lot of the objective for a lot of brands is to gain awareness or visibility in search. And one of the things that I think is people overthink the Google algorithm. If you look at a Google search results page, you will have all the answers to the recipes that Google is putting together in order to make brands rank. They look for brands that create content that is relevant. They look for brands to create content that is timely. They look for brands to create content that is text-based as well as video-based. They look for brands and images. So you can look at all of the different components of what Google thinks is important just by looking at a search results page. So what does that mean? The reason I said yes is because I don't think that many brands, except on YouTube specifically, and YouTube is the second largest search engine, but YouTube videos are also being put through Google. And so I think we need to realize that we need to create a high volume of valuable content that is both written and visual in nature. And so brands that don't create video content are not going to rank as high as brands that do. And that's the bottom line.
All right, so that's definitely a point I'd like all our audience to take away. All right, the last question for today is, what is one message to the brands out there who are on the fence about thinking whether to jump into the world of video marketing and video content creation? What is one motivation factor that you'd like to give them?
It's the motivating factor is do or die. Your audience is your audience is consuming videos. Each one of us, I'm sure we have looked at a video in the last 24 hours. My wife and my kids are looking at videos multiple times a day. Every audience that I've ever looked at and researched and audited is consuming videos. And so if you're not creating videos today, you're losing out on an opportunity. You're missing an opportunity to engage with those audience. So video marketing is really a matter of do or die in today's environment.
All right, that is great motivation. And if that doesn't push brands, I don't know what will. Thank you so much for spending your time with us, Michael. I hope you enjoyed the session as much as we enjoyed learning from you.
Thanks so much. And don't forget, cats.
Definitely, that's the takeaway point from this video. Guys, if you really enjoyed the show, go ahead and click on the like button and the subscribe icon. And if you want to see your favorite influencers on this show, go ahead and comment below and we'll make sure to get them for the future episodes. Until then, take care and stay safe. This is Arvind from Team Moneymaker signing off.